Hi, I'm Ray Kelly with Minuteman Empire Automation Systems, and today we're going to talk about how to transfer over a program from one ABB robot controller to another utilizing RobotStudio. So when would you want to do this? If you had multiple robots that are identical in process and they're electrically the same, you want to copy the files of one and put it into the other to minimize your labor in typing everything in. I've had the question asked me in the past, well, why not use the backup and restore function? Well, when we do a backup with the ABB function, it takes all the files from that controller and puts them into that directory. And that directory is meant to be restored to the same controller. It contains information that's specific to the robotic arm, serial numbers, calibration files, etc. And so if we were to restore the information from one controller into another, we'd be overriding information that's critical to the other robotic arm. So follow me here in RobotStudio as I migrate the information from one controller to the other. So here in RobotStudio, I have two virtual controllers, Controller 1 and CRB 15000. Controller 1 is my sort of out-of-the-box experience that has just TROB1, and it has no signals in Ethernet IP. CRB 15000 has 3 tasks, and it has some basic I/O in here, right? So 2 inputs and 2 outputs. So I want the information from CRB 15000 to be transferred to Controller 1. So let's do the steps. The first thing we're going to do is save these parameters. So right-clicking on Configuration, going to Save Parameters, and I'll get this pop-up menu here. I mentioned earlier about the specific information to the robotic arm. That's generally inside the motion task. So I'm going to uncheck that box and only go with the other files here. And press Save. I'm saving it to my desktop in a folder called System Migration. And yes, I override the information there, and it's done. The other information I'm going to want is all the modules, program modules, system modules from each one of these tasks. So I can save all of that by right-clicking on the task and doing Save Program As. And I go up here. So in my PGF folder, I have the 3 PGF files along with the modules in these 3 folders, as it represents here. If you had more tasks, you'd have more folders to save. If you have less tasks, you may only have 1. So just complete the information you need to do here. So cancel. I'm going to slide over to Controller 1. And the first thing I want to do is load those configuration files, right? So if I go in here, you'll see there's nothing inside of Signal, right? There's nothing there. So I'm going to right-click on Configuration. I'm going to do Load Parameters this time. I'm going to select all the files I saved earlier, and I'm going to confirm I do not see moc.cfg. If you see it there, just deselect it using a control click. Open. And OK. So we have this pop-up here that says that data transfer is successful, but the effects of the different parameters will not take effect until I restart. So let's press this Restart button here and press OK. If you had a real robot controller, it may take a little bit longer to reboot, the nature of the real controller. And you can do that again with just the teach pendant. You don't need to cycle the entire electrical on and off if you do not want to. So you see here I have some errors about background tasks, comms, and PLC. And that is talking about the fact that the program pointer cannot be set to main because that does not exist. You also see in the virtual controller that my operating mode is neither auto or manual. So I'm going to select manual to make sure that I'm in a state where the robot can accept changes. If you had a real robot, you may need to take write access to that robot and press the grant button on the teach pendant. And let's go down to TROB1. There's nothing in here. Right click on TROB1. I'm going to try to load program. It's going to be a warning about overriding information. Press yes. I'm going to look for a ROB1 folder, press open, select that PGF file, press open, and it's bringing the information in. And I can synchronize it to my virtual station. And so now that main is present. I need to do this 2 more times for the other task. So tplc, load program, navigate to PLC folder, open and open. And that one's in. Right-click on comms, and then do load program. Go to comms, be there, and there it is. So if I expand these various menu options, you'll see that there's a main in each one, which are unique. So here's a little TP right for the comms function. Here's another one for the PLC function. And here's another one for the main robot task. If I go to my I/O systems and go to Ethernet IP, you'll see that I have the same I/O in this controller, controller 1, as I did in this controller, the CRB 15000. So we've migrated the files for programs and for configuration successfully between the two controllers. So at this point, we have concluded the changes of copy paste everything in on this new controller. I would still check your robot targets, your ROB targets, to make sure that they're accurate. Systems are mechanically different generally, so you still may need to touch those up. As always, if you have any robot questions or automation needs, please reach out to Minuteman Empire Automation Systems. Thank you.